sadly, there's only one place to start. Yet another setback for the Vision. Bronson Reed has joined Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins on the injured list. He tore his bicep on Monday night and is out indefinitely. Daniel, Sanjay, are the Vision cursed?
They definitely are.
Oh, what did you make of it, Sanjay, when you saw that happen mid-match?
I actually wanted Bronson Reed to win because we were talking about this last time, having a big guy like that, a dangerous person in the pod. So it'd be nice to have a tsunami of it. But when it happened, I said, Paul Heyman's just brought a curse into this Vision.
Oh, you're fully blaming Heyman. It's not just their curse. Heyman is the curse. Man, it was such a shame as well because I thought the match was quite a nice Styles clash, to use the pun, with it being his tribute weekend as well, but kind of derailed the whole thing, didn't it? But Jey Uso, I guess, is the obvious choice in that scenario to go with. But as you say, Sanjay, we were talking about it last week, Bronson Reed seemed nailed on to be the one true heel in the match, and now here we are with only Trick Williams that is even slightly heel leaning, and we might have to settle for an Uso splash off the pod rather than a tsunami. But
as long as it's not you just yeeting for like 10 minutes.
You've just planted the worst thing. Is he just going to be inside the pod running it back and running it back and running it back and getting on everybody's tits? Oh man. Oh, Daniel, what do you make of the latest woe to befall the Vision?
I don't even know if unfortunate is an understatement. It's we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. It's just, it seems like they've just been so unlucky, and then to get this on top of it, it's just like, that's dumb. I was listening to something as well, and they pointed out that, I think Heyman knows it's done as well, because of the way he come out sort of going, what I'm really known for is being Brock Lesnar's advocate. And it's
I've always been Brock Lesnar's advocate. I've been here the whole time, right? Ignore that other stuff.
We were adamant that they should have quietly sort of shifted away from it after the Bron Breakker injury. If they weren't gonna pivot after that, I really cannot see a world whereby you keep it going now that Bronson's gone as well. The only sort of thing you might get out of it if you keep Austin and Logan as a bit of a tag team. I just think that this is really the last nail. Just, they need to move on now. It's really unfortunate, and I think it will just be that in the future we look at it and probably say it's what could have been situation. I still wouldn't be surprised if Breakker and probably even Reed are future world champions. I'd even put Logan Paul in that category. I'd be surprised if he's a future world champion. So I think missed opportunities when we look back at them in the future. I think the Vision's just going to really come under that category. Unfortunately, I think they just need to move on now.
I can't help but notice, Daniel, you left Austin Theory off your list of future world champions. So you want to add him in, or you're sticking with that? Stranger things have happened, but
I mean, we said this a couple of weeks ago that if it is just disbanded, maybe the whole curse thing is a way to say, I don't want to, just in case I'm not going to be in this anymore. How unlucky have you got to be in?
I was trying to think, and I literally couldn't think of an answer to this question of, like, has there ever been anything like this before in terms of a legitimate faction just being like decimated by injury? You couldn't make it up, and well, saying you couldn't make it up kind of leads me down a different path, because to be clear, I don't believe in karma or fate or anything like that, but Seth Rollins with the ruse of the century, and they were so proud of themselves for pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, and they cried wolf, and now here they are. Like, you cried wolf and went, it wasn't really a wolf, and then over the next 6 months, wolf, wolf, wolf. And now the three I guess you could call them the founding members. I know that Bronson obviously was on a little bit later than Seth and Bron, but they were the 3 proper Vision members. And then you had Logan and Austin come on later. And now the 3 proper ones, they're just gone. And, you know, Seth's not that likely to make Mania, I wouldn't have thought, unless he is the masked man. And what the hell do they do with that, by the way, now that they've got this situation come up? But Bronson's surely missing Mania now, and Bron too. It's just an absolute shambles. You can't blame the booking, really. You can't blame the creative. I know we talked before a couple of weeks back about how the booking and creative of the early part of the Vision was a little bit hit and miss, but this is just pure dumb luck. I think I agree, Daniel, just quietly let them all go. Let the Austin Theory and Logan be a tag team, at least until Mania. Maybe get Bad Bunny in and have him do a tag match or something.
You've already mentioned the fact that, you know, it's this cursed, you know, you keep seeing this word thrown around a bit. Just use it. Just use that word. In storytelling terms, you could just have Logan Paul come up and say that this group seems cursed. I've got a lot of money riding on my shoulders. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Random thought. We have the box. Seems like it may not be Jericho. They've been so funny with the box. And I'm using those air quotes very heavily if you're listening on audio. Danhausen has been rumored to be headed to WWE. Did Danhausen curse the Vision from inside the box?
Do you know what? I would love that, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Put him straight in on this semi-main event kind of level. Out comes Danhausen in a little doctor's jacket as well. Why not have him go the whole hog? The main non-elimination chamber headline was Bronson's injury. We couldn't not talk about it. I just thought he looked sad. The way he showed no pain, no agony. He just looked at his arm, and I could just see him thinking, "Fuck, there goes the next 4 months or whatever."
I think it derailed the match. It was turned into an okay match.
They did the best they could, yeah.
You can't hold it against Gable and Jey Uso for how it ended, but there were parts of it I'm just going, improvise, guys, do something. Put him in a rest hold or something, right?
I said exactly that to my wife and was saying, look, you can see the referee going, and he was going from Jey to Chad, from Jey to Chad, obviously passing on this really important information, but do something. Yeah. Vamp a little bit, or even, like you say, just a rest hold would have been something.
I swear I always use Steve Austin as examples, but like someone like a Steve Austin, I'm pretty sure he had mess ups in his career. Like generally what he'd do is he'd just stomp a mud hole in the corner. Just do something like that. Like, unfortunately, I think it set the tone for a bit of a weird Raw.
Weird was the word. I think they lost the crowd and never really got them back for any of the in-ring. I thought they were very, very subdued. And there was several promos on Raw that I just thought were there. A couple of good points as well, but I thought CM Punk, he's great on the mic, but I was like, okay, you haven't told us anything there at all.
It was probably one of the weaker Punk segments I've seen. The one that stood out to me was the Maxine. I'll probably get Sanjay's thoughts because I know he loves.
Please, he's waiting for it.
Sanjay, would you like to start on this?
Talking about final nails in coffins, yeah. Let's let Sanjay talk about his favorite wrestler.
They shouldn't have just done it. Just forget it. Just don't put it on TV. Put it on, like, you know, before the show starts, and if someone wants to see it, they'll watch a leaked video on YouTube or something. Does not need to be on Raw. It's just pointless.
It's another swing and a miss, I think, for me with the Natty presentation. I thought what they tried to do, I don't even want to give them this much credit, but I could see what they were trying to do. I thought that Maxine sold the knockout much better than the knockout actually looked before she was just laying face down, because it looked like she was dead. but the pushing of her into the post looked so. I hate using this word because I hate it when anyone uses it with the wrestling, but it looked so fake. It was like she threw herself into it from about 6 feet away, and
It looks sloppy.
yeah, it really did. And I just thought, just listen to that crowd. You could hear a pin drop. There wasn't boos for Natty. There wasn't ironic cheers, even like sometimes when they get on the baby faces and they're like, one more time. What, like, people could not give less of a fuck about Natty and Maxine Dupree. They, least of all Sanjay.
Yeah.
For me, one of the biggest takeaways was you've just had a genuine injury at the start of the show. Maybe you should have rethunk what you did in this match. Like, it just felt a bit bad taste. And it was just, yeah, it just felt really weird. I think in total, the thing was only a minute, if that.
Yeah.
I think Maxine was in the ring for 5 of those.
Oh, at least
Like,
5. I couldn't. Did they do 2 different ad breaks while she was just standing there with
nothing.
her
It was,
music playing? It was an odd thing, and they did that with Punk too. But then at least Punk's got the
yeah,
good music that you
I've
can sing along to.
I've started noticing it a lot recently. It's becoming more and more prominent recently, I feel. You know, you're bringing these people out and then having an ad break and a promo and then another ad break. And then you go to the second person coming out.
I think, to your point, though, I think it's actually to the detriment of almost half the roster, because I think more and more we're starting to see what I would call jobber entrances, where you have this really long stretch of someone in the ring and they'll cut and show you a backstage promo and that person's still in the ring with their music playing, and then they'll go to an ad break, and then they come back from the ad break and the opponent of the match is already in the ring. We already have enough of a problem with wrestler entrance themes being questionable at best, shall we say, but you're not giving some of them time at all to be actually on TV. It's just weird, a weird skewed kind of presentation of some of these wrestlers who are never going to be stars if they're not allowed to be presented, you know?
It's weird that they're banking so much on all the entrances because they show them all and then none of them are particularly memorable because the songs are all rubbish.
Yeah.
Maxine's a great example. I just went, what is this? One of the more recent ones is the Kit Wilson one, and you're just like, okay, this is brilliant. And then you come out with this rubbish.
I don't know how much Def Rebel are responsible for, whether they're still the sort of the overseers of all the main themes. But I think there's some really good themes at the moment. Obafemi, I think, has got an awesome theme. And yet they're, Maxine is, as you say, absolute dross. And they've changed Stephanie Vaquer's music to some
That's
generic
terrible.
create a wrestler on 2K when you just get the generic rock music to put on. Just, yeah, weird and missing a trick, because I bet, like, the 3 of us probably watched a similar amount of wrestling in our times. And there was a time where you could play me 2 seconds of anybody's theme and I would know who it was. Royal Rumble's, I think, a prime example of that, where in the past you wouldn't have to look at the Titantron and see whose name is going to appear, which I think you have to nowadays, at least with some of them. Back in the day, it was like, I know by the sting, or I know by 3 seconds in who it is that's about to come out.
I heard this great sort of description of the Steve Austin. Again, I'm using Steve Austin, and he said that the Steve Austin theme tune is the best 3-second theme tune in wrestling history. And then it sort of clicked as to what he was saying, that really it's that 3 seconds, boom, or it's not even 3 seconds. And it's just, everything's gone. And the chaos is coming. It's just brilliant. There's nothing like it anymore. Like, Roman Reigns has got a really good theme, but I think they stumbled onto that quite randomly. I think there was something to do with Succession at the time. There was a bit of a replica of the Succession theme song, which is amazing theme song. But really, like, how many are there these days where you're just sitting there going, what is this? and it just Maxine again just definitely was on the negative end of that.
Let's stick with Raw before we go into our full-on preview. Two things I just want to quickly touch on. AJ obviously cut his retirement speech. It does seem much more like a full-on retirement now. I really liked what he did with the gloves, and I really liked his justification for that. I know we spoke in our Royal Rumble review, and I kind of went, he didn't put his gloves down. But actually, I really like how he said, I didn't put my gloves down because I wanted to put them down here and I wanted to put them down at home. I thought that was really touching and really sweet. They gave him loads. I couldn't believe how much of a send-off he got when John Cena didn't get like the Raw after his match with Gunther. You would think that would be full-on John Cena appreciation night, which I wouldn't have enjoyed. I'm not a Cena fan, but I did think it was striking that they kind of rolled out everything for AJ, including at the end, the lights going out and out comes The Undertaker. And I thought for one weirdly terrifying moment, they were going to try and run back the Boneyard match, because he was like, you and me have got unfinished business, boy. And I was like, no, you don't. Please, no, you don't. But of course, he states that AJ is going to be the next inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. Sanjay, what did you make of all the AJ Styles celebrations?
Like you said, I was a bit surprised as well that they gave him that whole screen time, was quite a big send-off, and I really enjoyed it. I liked it, and Undertaker was my favorite wrestler since day one. So coming down on the bike, the American Badass, I loved it. Loved every bit of it. Even if you just get a little glimpse of the dead man, it's just something great for the fans like us who really love the Undertaker. But when he said that, I had the same thought. I was like, wait, he won the Boneyard match though, didn't he? So what's this unfinished business about?
Yeah, my eyebrows got higher and higher. Like, surely they're not. Surely they can't.
I thought you'd come up and say, you know what, I've done this for this many years, and you're going to retire. Now give me another match, I'll show you how it's done, some sort of thing. But then I was like, nah, Undertaker not anymore. He ain't going to come out retire.
Really well done. I thought the packages throughout were really nice.
Sorry to cut you off immediately, but talking of music, so nice to hear Creed again in a wrestling context.
I was about to get to Creed, actually, because that was the only thing I didn't like.
Oh, no.
I was just like, what is this piece of music? And they've done that in the past. I can't remember who it was. What was the Ric Flair retirement song? And I just remember going, oh, dude, what? It's like the Goo Goo Dolls or something like that. And it's just like, dude, like there's so much good music out there, and you're using this wank. Like that was my only yeah. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm not really a Creed fan. But yeah, no, in general, it was good send off. It was nice. By all accounts, the Undertaker appearance didn't happen in America, sort of post the USA. Is it on USA? Post the USA broadcast.
Raw's on Netflix everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's still on USA in the States, isn't it?
Okay.
I could be wrong there, but I have heard that the Undertaker thing was after Raw.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Someone might have to correct me on that, but I mean, I know that there was issues with the broadcast everywhere, evidently. Like there was a weird thing with Trick, which for me, I don't know what about for you guys. It was like Trick just randomly flashed on my screen and then was gone. And I was like,
he's everywhere.
What's going on here?
They are capitalizing on this guy. Just subliminal trick.
A bit of a rant, that was.
I can see why Creed perhaps falls into the wank category, as you put it. I think I don't love Creed, but I do love Alter Bridge, which are Creed without the singer. So I have a little bit more of like leeway with letting, I can't remember, is it Scott Stipe or Scott something, the singer?
I'm terrible with names.
I don't like the singer of Creed, but I do like the band, because I'm like, yeah, I like Alter Bridge, but
Alter Bridge are awesome. Maybe
good wrestling music is a theme for another conversation another time. The only other thing I wanted to touch on was another thing that I thought was pretty rubbish. I've got a sense that I might be in the minority there. I thought Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman just wasted 10 minutes of TV time. And I understand what they're doing. And I think the concept of saying the Brock Lesnar match is like the third title match at Mania, which was kind of Heyman's thing of this is how big a deal this guy is. I could see that, but I just thought Heyman particularly had a bad night for that on me. He just said the same thing 4 or 5 different times without ever progressing it at all. So we apparently have an open challenge for WrestleMania, but I imagine that spot will get filled before WrestleMania. Sanjay, I think you're probably the biggest Brock guy of all of us. What did you make of it? Where do you see it going?
I love the fact that he came. Like I said with the Undertaker as well, just seeing some of the guys come back, even a little segment like that, it's great memories to make. But having four back-to-back shows Raw, I think, from March. So I hope it's matches with superstars to lead up to a match in WrestleMania. I hope it's just like a squash thing. Someone comes in and Brock,
Okay.
you're no challenge for me. He beats them up until Oba comes in at the end, like the final week, and he says, "All right, you know what? I'll take you on at WrestleMania." So you can have matches with like LA Knight. I don't know who the other people are that came in.
You've got to have Kit Wilson on that list, like just for the giggles.
Yeah, that would be a great segment. But like I was saying, like the Raw, I just found it really strange going back a bit where Jade Cargill was doing a little talk, and all of a sudden she was saying something, and it just cut off and went blank screen.
I think as Daniel was saying, that I think comes down to the televisation of the broadcast, because I thought that was a full promo, and then as soon as it cut off, I was like, oh, they must have been in an ad, because they quite often, I think, cut to those in-crowd interviews. A weird, we'll get back to Brock, but a weird thing to have Jade Cargill just turn up, and I thought the presentation of her made her look a lot weaker than she could do with looking right now. And having Dom being like, and here's Jade Cargill, and here she comes like smiling and happy. She didn't need to be there for that segment to work in exactly the way that it did. I just thought that was a shame. But yeah, back to Brock. You said you hope it ends up being Oba. Be happy with that if Oba wins, if Brock would put Oba over, I think. Daniel, what were your thoughts on Heyman's ramble about Brock?
I love Heyman, and I've got a lot of time for Brock as well. I actually think Brock is really underrated. I think he might be probably one of the best to ever do it. But Jesus, this was rubbish. It was just I didn't see the point in it. It just didn't achieve anything. And I'm usually trying to be as positive as I can when I'm watching something that I enjoy.
Right.
But I just did not see the point in this other than that they wanted to have Lesnar on the show. But it achieved absolutely nothing. When I was watching it, I thought to myself, try and do something. Oh, we've got an open challenge, and then add a joke in. R-Truth comes out, or Kit Wilson. Add something. But then nothing happened of it. Sanjay already mentioned the Undertaker was there. Like, why instead of coming out for AJ, not just go, all right, you've already mentioned WrestleMania and how this is like the Undertaker's main event. You've already got him in the building. Send the Undertaker out.
Yeah.
And then say, I'm going to find someone to go up against you.
Oh, I like that.
Then suddenly I'm going, oh, okay, cool. Again, it achieved nothing. And I've got a lot of time for both guys. And that's just kind of, it was Raw in general. Brock, Punk,
Cody as well.
Cody.
Did nothing. I understand why he was there because it was his hometown and stuff, but like he did and said absolutely nothing.
But the Liv thing, like, what was the point in? I was really I was a bit dumbfounded last week, but I was interested. And then suddenly I've got to this week and I'm like, what the hell was the point in that? You could have just done that, and I don't know. It wasn't a bad thing. It just seemed a bit unusual. It's like week to week, it doesn't really matter.
I I was a little higher, I think, on the Liv Stephanie stuff. The Jade sort of thing aside, because it was so odd for her to just be there when she didn't need to be at all. I like that Liv kind of played it to begin with, like she had been really affected by it. Even the way she was kind of stood there sheepishly getting Dom to do the talking for her. I thought they could have fallen into the trap of really overdoing that and really hamming up, oh, I'm upset and I'm scared and before the turn. I liked that subtlety, for want of a better term. And I thought she really leathered her with the mic. I hope, in the same way we talked weeks ago at this point about Cody and Jacob when they had that disappointing pull apart, and we were like, oh, maybe they're leaving stuff for later. They've now got, what is it, 40 days or 50 days to really ratchet up the heat of this Liv and Stephanie feud.
I think for me, it didn't help that by that point I was already tuning out. That was about halfway from memory. I was already tuning out of Raw because there was a lot of like, I don't think it was a good week. And by that point, I was kind of hoping that something would come of the Liv and the Care stuff. And it just, I don't know, it just didn't click. Again, I try and be positive, but a lot of it I found quite negative this week.
I think, that you have to say what you feel, and I think the three of us are in agreement, really, that not a lot happened.
I will say one thing. I actually quite enjoyed. Not the match was good, it was okay, but I quite enjoyed the Javon and New Day stuff.
Yes.
I kind of wanted to see more, but now that you've given that match away, we kind of can't. Whereas just the little interactions, like Xavier Woods doing the bouncy thing on the outside, I feel like that could be a really nice little feud for Javon, but now you've just given it away and it's done.
I suppose you've got the Javon Xavier Woods match. I don't know what Xavier's injury is. I love him talking about bouncy and him being like, your boy's head is bouncy when Kofi was cracking it on the table.
It was great. It was fun.
Maybe
you're right. Maybe it could lead towards Woods and Javon. After what I saw, I'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah. I actually made me miss Babyface New Day because I thought, how fun would Javon be in that mix for a little while? So this weekend, Elimination Chamber is upon us. We have the 2 title matches I think we'll preview first. We've already kind of previewed quite a lot of this over the last few weeks, so maybe it'll just be as simple as who do you think's going to win. So we'll start off with the Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee.
I would love Becky Lynch to win, but I'm pretty much sure AJ Lee will take the victory and take the belt as well, because then she will start her, or we could say probably a short run for doing a few matches, but under the Intercontinental Championship belt.
It seems like something they maybe want to give the title. They want to add AJ Lee's name to the list of who's been IC champ. Maybe do you see AJ Lee then dropping it back to either Becky or someone else at Mania? Would it be that short a run?
I hope it's not Maxine Dupree that she drops it to, but anyone else.
I hope to God that ship has finally sailed. But yeah. AJ Lee for the win, even though it's not exactly what you want to see.
That's right.
Okay. Daniel, who have you got?
I've been sort of floating back and forth, but I think I've sort of settled on the idea that it will be AJ this week and then Becky or someone else at Mania. But I still think they'll be fighting at Mania, and that's probably where she'll drop the title. So it'll only be a short run. I can't see AJ missing Mania. I don't expect AJ to be around too much.
No.
So maybe just be done with Becky and then, I don't know, have a little tournament to determine who's going to go up against AJ, and then they win at Mania. And then you've potentially got a nice fresh match there. But then what do you do with, maybe you squeeze Becky in that way? I mean, Triple H loves a triple threat.
He does. He certainly does. Seems to be a clean sweep among the 3 of us for AJ Lee to win. I think, as I said, they want a name in the history books. under that title. I think it genuinely does add prestige to that title. I think AJ Lee, her career warrants it. I think they maybe want to get more pictures of her holding an actual belt and not that pretty pink butterfly that she was talking about a couple of weeks back. I did really enjoy, we talked last week about AJ Lee getting serious on the microphone, and I said that I wanted Becky to turn that dial as well. I really enjoyed her pre-taped interview.
Yeah.
I thought that had exactly the intensity I was after. I was a little bit like, oh, it's only a pre-tape and it's not a live promo, but the crowd was so meh that maybe it's a good job it was a pre-tape. Moving on then to another Chicago hometown performer. CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion, defends against Finn Balor. I think Punk's going to win. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. I hope that Finn comes out looking as good as he did that night in Belfast, because I think that was such an over delivery and such an eye opener of, oh, well, there's still something real special in Finn Balor here. Whether JD and Dom get involved and somehow cost Finn, either accidentally or on purpose, I don't know. But yeah, Punk to win for me. Daniel, I'll come to you first for this one. What do you reckon?
I mean, I completely agree. I don't think there's anything that you just said that I could add to.
Sanjay?
Yep, same. I don't think they'll jeopardize the main event like Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. It's impossible for them to do that. But like you said, I hope Dominic Mysterio does interrupt and cost Finn Balor, and then that could lead them up to a match at WrestleMania.
I liked that on Raw, Finn was there in the clubhouse. He was sharply dressed as well. I noticed that sort of change in the way he was holding himself a bit more like a champion. And him saying to JD and Dom, "Let me do this on my own on Saturday." And I loved Dominic has just got no shame at all, and he's like, "Well, what about me? I've got a match with Penta, and I don't want to do that on my own. Like, you got me right." I think there's something about Dom just being the unashamed coward that he is that just is such a nice contrast. So yeah, we'll see. Surely Finn and Dom is coming at some point, the split, but we'll see whether that happens at the Chamber itself. On to the Elimination Chamber matches. Tiffany Stratton versus Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Alexa Bliss versus Kiana James versus Raquel Rodriguez. Kiana James, out of nowhere on SmackDown, won that triple threat. Daniel, you're shaking your head. I'm going to come straight to you.
I was watching it and just went, what the hell have I just watched? I did not expect it at all. It's nice, I suppose. Good for her. I think Charlotte would have been the right choice. Just to add a bit more intrigue to the Chamber match. Kiana James just feels like she's the person who's not going to win. She might have a Santino performance, but I doubt it. I feel like they'll make her look good, but it's just like you've got such a strong women's division, and this is nothing against Jane. I just feel like for the intrigue leading into Mania, there were probably better options. And off that triple threat, it was Charlotte and Nia Jax, like both of which I think are really intriguing. I suppose, yeah, it's no surprise I think Kiana James isn't winning.
Right.
It's flip a coin on the women, really. I don't think it's Tiffany. I don't think it's Asuka. So who's that leave? Alexa,
Rhea, and Raquel.
I think they're the three most likely to win. I'm going to go Alexa, and then you can get around the Charlotte Jade thing by having Alexa and Jade and Charlotte at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Alexa, just because I don't know who else.
I think what you have said and the way you have said it is like the damning indictment of that SmackDown top line women's division.
Yeah.
I admired the decision, if you like, to put Kiana James in the match as a bit of an underdog shocker, but they've done next to nothing with her character-wise. She's another one of those who has awful / non-existent music, like not non-existent, but non-memorable. certainly. So her presentation has not been there for us to really be given a reason to care about her. When she's in the ring, she's shown good like power spots and things.
But she does wear glasses, so you know that she's smart. She wears glasses.
And the glasses and the briefcase. Here
And
comes a business person.
And she points to her head, Larry Poffo style.
Just in case we were under any illusions, she is smart. I did think it was smart to have someone roll Charlotte up from that figure of 8 bridge that she does. I don't feel like we've seen that before. Maybe I think it was unfortunate because the execution of that I thought was a little too clunky and it took a little too long, because I saw the moment and went, oh, that's good, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's okay, she's got her. Kind of took a little while to get her down. Who wins the women's chamber for you, Sanjay?
So I'd like to say that Kiana has actually surprised me since the Royal Rumble. Like in ring, you would think that should be somebody who's been building up for a championship match or taken to the next level. But she's, like we said, her character work is awful. We don't know nothing about her. But even the match, I don't know if you guys noticed, there was a pinfall and the referee counted to 3. Where Charlotte Flair. I was just thinking, wait, is Charlotte Flair supposed to win this match or what's going on? Because she would be the perfect fit for Elimination Chamber and to fight Jade Cargill. So taking her out of the equation, I think, unless SmackDown Rio comes to an end, then I would say Rhea Ripley to win and fight Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. If that doesn't happen on SmackDown, they've still got the tag team. And then it's Tiffany Stratton, Tiffany time what's going to happen in the Royal Rumble. And then now Elimination Chambers just to get onto WrestleMania with Jade Cargill. Like a rematch.
I think Rhea's a conservative choice. Like, that's a money match, isn't it? So you sort of go.
Rhea is someone you could put on at Mania with anybody. It's the same like we were talking about Charlotte Flair last week. Like, you could put those two on a card with anybody and their star power will carry the weight of that match on the card.
Especially with the tickets not selling out that good for WrestleMania this year. So it's all over social media. So if they want big stars heading off, then they'll have to do something about that.
Well, I think perhaps as well, I mean, they could just do what they've done with the tag titles for years, which is just leave them off of Mania. Because
be on like the SmackDown before Mania or something, it'll just
not even that, like just leave them entirely.
Forget the whole thing.
Vince did it for years, like just
the division right now in the tag titles is
so good,
too much that you just don't know who's going to win, what team is actually fighting for what. It's just all good, not like the men's.
The men's tag is just dreadful. I think maybe the worst division in the WWE right now for me.
Crazy.
So I'll say first that I think that there's going to be tag team stuff in and around this chamber, because you've got one half of 5 different tag teams in there. You've got Rhea, Asuka, Alexa, Kiana, if we're still counting her and Julia, and Raquel, who was obviously with Liv or Roxanne. So I've kind of had visions of like carnage going on around the outside of the chamber as everybody's partner is getting themselves involved and all that sort of thing.
Did we not burn this bridge for the Royal Rumble?
We had such high expectations, Daniel, didn't we? I think I'm still desperately clinging to the hope that we're going to get some sort of TLC carnage that, please God, would go on Mania. Like, that wouldn't be on the SmackDown before. Surely they've learned from that mistake with the men. I've got a bit of a left field pick for the winner. I'm going to say Raquel Rodriguez wins. I really enjoyed the triple threat on Raw with her and Io and Kyrie. Loved the little moment where Io and Kyrie were double teaming her and then we're like, yay! And then you could see Kyrie look at her hands and go, oh my God, I've just high-fived Io Sky. Now Asuka's going to kill me. I thought that was the tease of maybe something nicer for those guys heading into WrestleMania season. But I just thought, I think this is something maybe I'd like to see rather than I expect to see, but I'm going for it. So I think Raquel Rodriguez wins the chamber and then challenges Stephanie Vaquer for the women's title. And that obviously then leads us even more into trouble with what the hell do we do with Jade and the WWE. But I just think it would then add that real wrinkle of tension into Liv being like, I'm sorry, what do you mean? Like, you won the chamber, which means you challenged Jade. And I don't know what the kind of kayfabe legality is of winning that chamber match, whether you get to choose or whether you're the challenger for the other one. But I just think that would be a cool thing that we maybe haven't seen before, of someone winning the chamber and going, no, I don't want that one, I want this one, because I know I can beat Vaquer and Liv, I know I can beat you as well.
All 3 different picks.
Yeah, that might be the first time we've had 3 different picks. So you said
I said
Daniel,
Alexa,
because you picked a name out of a hat. Sanjay, you said
I was
Rhea
thinking,
or Tiffy, and I've gone
Rhea,
for
I
Raquel.
think.
So
and
someone's
we'll probably all be wrong.
What did he count James?
Kiana James versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Yeah. So just the one more match for us to preview, and it is the men's Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton versus LA Knight, versus Javon Evans versus Cody Rhodes versus Trick Williams versus Jey Uso.
I think it's between 2.
Okay.
I think it's Cody and Randy. Prior to him getting smacked with the belt, I wouldn't have said Randy. Then I wondered why they were doing this. So I'd say it's probably between the 2 of those. I think Cody. And the reason I say Cody is not because, one, I do want to see him, Jacob, and Drew. I think that should be one of the main events. But it's also, I feel like with Cody, even though it sort of runs the risk of live audiences turning on him a little
I
bit.
was just going to bring that up. Carry on.
Yeah, I feel like he's the sort of person that you can't bet against too much. You know, the Charlotte or the Cena-esque character. There is a risk that Chicago especially could turn a little bit against him, but it's still Cody, so I'm going to stick with Cody. I'm going to be conservative and say Cody.
Yeah, Cody to win.
Yeah.
Sanjay, who have you got for this one?
I'm gonna say Cody as well. I just think that triple threat match is bound to happen. Jacob's gonna get pissed off. He's gonna come do something crazy, make it, a triple threat for WrestleMania. Drew, Cody, and Jacob.
Yeah, I think that seems to be the way that they're heading. This is not going to be as interesting as our variety of picks that we just did for the women's, because I think looking at it, I've got Cody too. I think Javon will get eliminated by Orton. I think he'll attempt some crazy cutter off the top of the pod, and I think they've done this spot a couple of times before. Yeah, I think Orton beats Javon. LA Knight, I don't really get it with LA Knight, to be honest. I know everybody else does. The crowd seem to love it, and seems like every time LA Knight doesn't win a match, people decide he's being buried, and even though here he is in the main event of a PLE. Trick is the name that keeps on cropping up in my mind. Like, do they know what they've got here with Trick? It's surely too soon.
I don't think you can entrust a Mania main event to him. Yeah, it's just a bit too soon.
He's so over that maybe if he'd have debuted even just a month earlier, they'd have enough momentum to be like, you know what, we're going to pull the trigger on this guy and just go for it. The only thing about Trick's presentation that I don't like is that they've already started doing too much, I think, with the lemon pepper steppers thing, because I think the first time he said it, it was so organically funny and the crowd bit on it and loved it, and now he's like pausing for them to say it, and I just don't catchphrase the hell out of him, like, because he's so, I don't think he needs the catchphrases because he's got that swagger. They've got that natural gift of the gab to be able to just carry himself like a star.
That might be out of his control, though.
I'm certain that it is, because it's WWE's marketing department going, get that on a t-shirt right now. A random left turn. But I thought the same with Gunther saying that Cena tapped out like a little bitch, and then next week he's coming out carrying this t-shirt that I feel was forced into his hands. Because they just can't help themselves, can they, but try and monetize absolutely everything.
I don't like the fact that they're using the chamber as like a second opportunity into Mania.
Mhm.
And I don't like that it's a yearly event. I don't mind the odd one, but like I just get a bit tired of yearly events. I think Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble are kind of exceptions to the rule.
Yeah,
But
I'd
the
agree.
chamber just feels, I don't know, it just always feels a bit forced sometimes. I'd rather it sort of go back to how it was, that sort of rough, kind of like they've done with Hell in the Cell recently.
Like needs must. This multi-man or multi-woman feud is so out of control. We've got to put them in the chamber rather than
Yeah,
it's February, so in the chamber you go.
that's really hard though, because how often are you going to have 5 or 6 people that are that sort of ingrained with each other?
The women's tag division.
Yeah, like this would have been a great opportunity this year to have a women's tag match in the chamber again. And I don't think it always has to be. If you're going to use the chamber on a yearly basis, it doesn't always have to be this is your second opportunity into the main event of Mania. I don't know, just be a bit more experimental with it. The women's IC match, like if you wanted to extend out the Becky and AJ thing till Mania, have Becky, AJ, Natty, Maxine, to Lyra and Bailey all fighting for the IC title.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
agree, but just not Maxine. Just
yeah,
keep her out of the picture. Just keep her
yeah,
backstage. Keep her with Tozawa.
but like, there's still a bit more. I'd be more interested in that. I think I'd be like, okay, that's kind of interesting. I want to get excited for it, but it feels a bit weak.
More like a bump on the road to WrestleMania rather than like a destination.
Yeah, I think it also dilutes the importance of the Rumble a bit, and I'm still a massive Rumble fan. If you want to use it as a stepping stone for something, do what they've been doing with King of the Ring the last few years. Make it as a stepping stone to SummerSlam. Um, maybe not SummerSlam, but War Games. Maybe that's a bit too much cage, though.
Well, maybe like I don't know how you guys feel about war games. I know we weren't recording pods back then, but I wouldn't be amiss to not seeing war games for a couple of years. So maybe have Elimination Chamber happen at Survivor Series, which I think was the origin of it, was as an elimination match at a Survivor Series, which
Yeah,
fits with the historic theme.
the year just gone, I actually was thinking multiple times how much I'd rather see just a traditional Survivor Series match rather than a War Games match. Just again, it was like,
MFT's had a Survivor Series match, I think, on SmackDown
yeah, they
before.
put it on SmackDown, and it was
It
like,
was great.
yeah,
SmackDown's been much better than Raw the last few weeks. Definitely enjoyed SmackDown.
To your point, Sanjay, I think when they first announced SmackDown was going back to 3 hours, I kind of went, oh, here we go. Because I think the previous 3 hour time slot was really damaging and it felt really saggy. There was loads of flab to the show. Whereas these last few weeks, it's been, noticeably better than Raw, I think.
I suppose one thing was the mystery box.
How could I forget the mystery box? Sanjay, by all accounts, the box is going to be opened at Elimination Chamber. Who do you think, or who or what should I say, is going to emerge from that crate?
I think he's coming back. I heard rumors, so it's Vince McMahon. He's going to come out of the box.
Brilliant.
So the first person he fires will probably be Triple H.
Yeah. Oh my God, the timing of that though would be something else if they brought Vince back now. Like, woof.
Things are feeling a bit more Vincey lately as well.
We said that, I think, last week about something, didn't we? That it was.
Yeah.
Oh no, was it the box itself was very Vincey?
Maybe it was the box.
Yeah, because it was one of Vince's last things in his run was the egg, wasn't it? With the golden egg that everybody was bloody chasing. Yeah, you remember those days, those wonderful days? Daniel, you said to me off air just now that you had some thoughts with the mystery box and an outing that you had recently.
So, for those listening, I went and saw Ozzy in London on Friday, who was really fun. If you haven't seen him and you're interested, I really recommend it. one thing that stood out to me straight away,
Was there a box on the stage?
no, there wasn't, was how good Jericho looked. He looked slimmer than he did a year ago in AEW. So straight away, it made me think, I think he's going to come back at some point because he just looks really good. He looks ripped. I joke, but I sort of joked, Jesus, it looks like Jericho's got like a 6 or an 8 pack. My wife straight away was like, let's get closer. But no, look, really good night. It sort of sold me a little bit on the fact that Jericho is coming back. I don't think he's going to be in the box, but I think there might be a connection with the box. I said last week, I think it would be a red herring. You already mentioned Danhausen. It would work. I think he's from Chicago.
You mentioned the Chicago crowd with Cody being a potential sort of minefield, but that could be really helpful with someone like Danhausen because Chicago's not the most WWE only crowd. I think there are certain towns where someone like Danhausen would get crickets because people are going to just be like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah.
But a Chicago crowd might give him the kind of pop.
But I don't know if it's a big enough name in the WWE universe. So I'm going to throw a curveball and say Joe Hendry
Oh, Joe Hendry. Okay.
because I can't think of anyone else. Or something related to 2K26. I'll say
God,
something a bit more exciting and say Joe Hendry.
I would hate it if this isn't a person reveal or a debut reveal or a return reveal. That would be 2 strikes for me because the feet promos for the WrestleMania, I was sort of like, who's that? Who could this be? And it was just like, oh, you're just advertising WrestleMania, which we already know. I think I'm gonna say Danhausen. I think the placement of the box has been very much in the comedy scenes that they've been doing backstage, and Johnny Gargano was lying on top of it on SmackDown, and Johnny Gargano is the only part of that whole SmackDown tag comedy scene that I'm laughing at the moment because Fraxium are cringe, the Motor City Machine Guns are cringe, but Candice LeRae and Johnny are found something quite funny with this. So yeah, I think Danhausen is my pick. Sanjay, are you saying Vince is your earnest pick? I'm hopeful that you're not.
I mean, if it's related to Chris Jericho, then maybe it's like a massive book, the list of Jericho.
Yeah, could be a list, could be the light up jacket, could be all of his stuff.
Light up jacket,
Good idea.
something. I hope it's not Jericho coming out of a box because he's too much of a big star to be doing that to him. It could be something related to him though.
His return is going to be a massive pop, a monster pop. Surely they won't waste that on a box.
You've given me an idea though. I quite like the idea of them just opening it and then it's like just a random collection of all this stuff. The hell is this? It's like a notepad and pen or clipboard and a jacket, and they're just going, what the hell is this? And then obviously everyone's like, oh, it's Jericho stuff. I would actually be more inclined to like that, I think, if it was done that way.
For my liking, they'd have to they could heavily hint at it, but it has to be a bit like other returns where CM Punk's AEW debut springs to mind as something that everyone in that crowd was 99% sure it was Punk, but there was that 1% of doubt that meant when Cult of Personality hit, it was one of the biggest pops I've ever heard in my life. That you have to have that 1% of doubt, I think, to still generate that level of pop. So they can't just have a sign in there saying Jericho is coming, but they could have little Easter eggs, little clues that could lead us down that path. I checked earlier this evening, and the Fozzy tour, I think, is done. So he's back in the States, presumably, and I've certainly seen Instagram posts and things of him looking in very good shape, as you've mentioned there, Daniel. So we shall see what emerges from the box, and I'm sure we will dissect it in great detail this time next week. But before we go, there is a very smug-looking champion who has never been defeated in quiz time.
I actually have an asterisk against my record, though.
Do you?
I think I do. I feel like Sanjay got a bit cheated last week. because he didn't actually name Goldberg.
Really?
Yeah,
Are we VARing this?
I rewatched it and went,
Yeah.
wait, he didn't actually name Goldberg. He was just thinking out loud there.
Oh no, that would be
Probably.
that means it's my fault though. Don't do that.
I'll have to rewatch that one now.
Oh man. Oh, if that is the case, then
Asterix against
yeah.
my name.
It's gonna put an asterisk against my imminent victory as well, isn't it? Because it should be Sanjay. Sanjay, I believe you have a question to pose to Daniel and I.
I do. I tried to make it a little bit more tough because we're trying to get Daniel off the streak here.
Yeah, but that makes it tougher for me.
Yeah, it does. Well, I'm sticking to the Elimination Chamber.
Awesome.
So the question is, every single opponent, so women's and men's Elimination Chambers, but not the tag team ones. Give me the names of every person who got eliminated first in those Elimination Chambers.
Eliminated first.
Eliminated first. My God.
I think I've got a couple.
Just 2 more than I have. You get to go first, I think, is a precedent we've set, Daniel.
John Cena got eliminated by Edge.
John
Tell me
Cena's
he's got it wrong.
on my list.
Tell me he's got it wrong straight out the gate.
Cena was the champion, and Edge come in and eliminated him.
Not on my list, you know, John.
2008, 2007?
I'm daring to dream.
Let's go for the next name. We can come back to that one.
So it's related to what Daniel, I think, is thinking of, because the way I have it remembered is that Edge got eliminated really early in an Elimination Chamber match, that he lost a title in, and then he came back. I think there was 2 chamber matches that night, and he got eliminated first in one, lost his title, and then came back in the other and won the other championship. So my answer is Edge.
Edge is right. Edge is one of them.
Didn't he eliminate Cena in the second one?
I haven't seen it on my list. But Edge was in both Elimination Chambers.
Or was it Rey Mysterio?
He lost
Or was
one.
it Rey
and then he
Mysterio?
won that one.
What chamber was that? What year?
That one.
He's clinging on to his title. It's slipping out of his grasp.
Yeah, I think it was 2009. And I've got Edge in there, so I haven't checked John Cena's one.
No, I was wrong.
Yeah. Hey, we got a new winner.
Yes,
I was wrong.
get in there.
It was Kane who got eliminated first.
Oh, sweet victory.
So I made it hard enough, eh?
You did.
I do remember Cena. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking Edge. Damn.
Oh,
So I've got 26 names here. We've got Rob Van Dam, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, CM Punk, JBL, Kane, Randy Orton, Big Daddy V, Wade Barrett, R-Truth, The Great Khali, Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Baron Corbin, Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre. It's quite cute.
I'm glad that that happened quick, because I think Edge was the only name I had. Daniel, you are looking haunted. You are staring off into the middle distance.
I just sort of like, I remembered it. Like I remember thinking, yeah, he did beat John Cena, and we had a new world champion that first. Like we knew that we had world champion, and then as soon as you said he's not on my list, I was like, hold on. And then you mentioned that no, they beat Edge early in the night, and I went,
because Edge was the champion, and that being first meant that whole chamber was like, we have a new champion.
One. So I think I've got confused with the two.
But
he did beat John Cena for the title there. So that's where my confusion has stemmed from.
I'll give you that little bit of a sliver of silver lining there.
So next week is going to be the unified title, seeing as there's an asterisk against this win anyway.
Here it comes. Well, I'm interim, am I? That's what you're giving me. I'm interim. Well, last week we mentioned, I know that there's an asterisk by it, but I think I mentioned that it was like an Oberfemi squash match. Whereas this was so quick. It was like it wasn't a squash, but it was like, you know, the cheeky little kind of Paul London rolls up Triple H kind of moment. So I don't feel like a dominant champion. I feel like I'm doing the classic babyface. I've won the match and I've rolled out the ring and I'm celebrating on the stage. You all stood there going, what the fuck just happened?
This felt like Lesnar Taker. We needed a little bit of time before the music started. Did that actually happen? I'll be ready with a question next week though, gents.
The streak is over, and so is the Smark-Casual Wrestling Podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening, for watching. Please keep finding us and following us on YouTube, on X, on TikTok, anywhere you can find us at Smark-Casual Pod. We'll be back next week to talk all things Elimination Chamber. Daniel will be setting a question because he lost the quiz. To me, what a shame. Until we see you next week, thank you so much, Sanjay.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
And we will see you soon. Thank you so much for listening.